lady I get to introduce to you, I've known for many, many years. And our paths have crossed many times in the past.
Yes.
And I've been actually a personal beneficiary of the machine that she has developed, because we're talking with an inventor here. So you're going to really, you're in for a treat here, what Julia is going to present to us. And it is amazing what that machine can do for you through light and sound, as well as reprogramming beliefs that you have about yourself and the world. And Julia, with her husband together, has perfected that system over the last few years. And we are very, very blessed and excited that she's the one to share her wisdom with us today. So let's give a very warm welcome to Julia Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I'm very grateful to be here today. My heart is full, and I hope that I can convey the feelings of my heart today as I present to you the feelings of my heart. So the name of my talk is, the name of my presentation is Creating the Desires of Your Heart. So I want to start right out by asking you, do you know? I know we all set an intention a little while ago what we wanted for today. But I want to ask you, do you know what you want? What are your desires? What is it that you want when it comes to your health? Do you have any big intentions for your health? What is it that you might want for your health? What is it that you might want for your relationships? If you've already got your health in tow and you feel like, you know, hey, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I feel really good, it's a discipline, it's a practice, I feel awesome, then maybe health isn't your thing. But maybe it's relationships. And maybe the next thing might be about what kind of money do you want, or what kind of things do you want, or kind of job do you want, or what do you want to do. So what I want you to be thinking about is if you could figure out what maybe a priority of something that you want, what is a heartfelt desire that you have, if I want you to just kind of jot that down. If you don't know, raise your hand. Okay? There's a few of you that don't know, and that's okay. I want you to know that that's okay, because a lot of times we're here to discover what it is that we want, right? So the very first important part before we can manifest anything is to know what we want. That's the very first part. And sometimes that's the hardest part, because once you know, you can get into the flow, you can release the blocks that keep you from having it. But until you know what it is that you want, you're kind of stuck, right? So I want you to just imagine yourself being 5 years old. And here you are, you're 5. And what is your favorite thing to do at 5? Play? Okay, play what?
Just play outside.
Play outside. Okay. All right. So anybody else?
Playing with toys.
Playing with toys. You like toys. You like to play with toys. Okay.
I like to imagine that I was cooking or doing different things.
Cooking?
Yeah, like imagining.
Cooking that you're a cook. Your imagination that you're cooking. Okay. Anybody else can get in touch with what they love to do at age 5? Yes, Susan.
Climb trees.
Susan liked to climb trees. You like to pretend. Okay. All right. So, anybody else? Yes.
Jump on a bouncy horse.
Jump on her bouncy horse. Awesome. Okay. So there's a purpose in this. All right. I want you to. Okay. Back here in the hat.
I like to daydream.
Daydream. Okay. Yes. Sing and dance. Okay. I want you to know that the 5-year-old is very connected to your knower and knows. Your 5-year-old knows what makes you happy, unless it's been tragically abused. And then maybe the 5-year-old doesn't know. But 5-year-olds who grow up in a pretty healthy environment are still in touch with their knower. And they know what makes them happy. For example, we have a granddaughter who loves to be, I would say, she loves to be an event coordinator. Everybody gets their napkin with their name on it. Everybody has a place card. Everybody has their little, right, things at the table. And everybody gets a color of whatever they are, whatever color she sees them as, right? My little 5-year-old grandson said, we bought him a new coat the other day because he didn't like his coat. It hindered his movement. So we were able to find him this cute little coat. And of course it was like, where do we find him a coat? And then of course my guidance said, go to Costco and we'll find it. So we went to Costco, we found it. We had it within 2 seconds of walking in the store practically, right? Because we listened. And we found him this beautiful little coat. It was an awesome little coat. And it was in camo, it was gray camo, and it had bright orange around it. And he loved this coat and he could move in it. And his mom says, boy, Mason, I'd sure like a coat like that. And you know what he said? Mom, I don't think they have it in purple. Right? His knower knew. If she was a color, she would be purple. Right? So I'm looking at this little boy and I'm trying to figure him out. And I said, okay, so if Grandma had a color, what color would Grandma be? And he said, orange. Grandma's orange. And then I had an awakening about myself. Okay, I like being orange. That's okay. Orange is good, right? For all the things that orange is good for, I can be that to my little grandson. And 5 is a magical age. So I'm looking at Mason and I'm going, okay, so what could Mason be that he could really, really imprint himself? He likes to move. He likes to move big. He loves to dance. And he expresses himself very well athletically. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, so we know that about Mason right now. We also know that he's intuitive. And we want him to be able to trust that intuition. And we want to hone that in and help him not to lose that as he grows. Somewhere along the line, we kind of lose what we were once. Right? And so we come to a place like this and we think we want to attract something and we don't know what it is. Because we've lost touch with climbing trees and our imagination and being able to write stories or being able to be that event organizer. Somewhere along the line, have another grandson who's very, very bright, and he's very right and left-brained. And we notice that already about him because he has the engineer mind, but he also has the artist mind. And so he's got choices. And we watch him as we grow, and we don't want him to lose touch with what it is that he is now. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about what you once knew about yourself. What did your knower know about you as a little person? And what did you love to do? And I want you to imprint that. I want you to think about that for just a few moments. Well, a few seconds. I'm not going to give you moments. I'm just going to give you seconds. And I want you to kind of be in that space and place as we go forward into the rest of this presentation. Now, with that in mind, I want to see those of you who said that you didn't know what you want. Have you got something in mind that you want now? You got in touch with a little bit more about what it is that you want. Any comments now that we know that, yes?
Well, so I have young babies. I have a 4 and a 3-year-old. And so if we're talking about imagination, I want to gain that back. I want to bring that back to them and for myself. And I always believed that what happens with believing in the fairies and the magical things, whatever, why do we lose touch with that? Our inner child still believes that.
Yeah.
So as we become adults, we forget that. And with the children, that, like you said, our 5-year-old knows what we want.
Yes. So tell me your name.
Inner child still there, and we look at them and we project.
Tell me your name.
My name's Jessica.
Jessica. We have a few Jessicas in the room. It's awesome. We have a couple Jessicas right up here. So Jessica's a beautiful name. So Jessica, how could you bring back the magic to children and fulfill your soul purpose?
And to bring it back to myself.
Bring it back to yourself first.
Bring it out.
Right. And what will happen as you do that, Jessica? As you bring back that magic to yourself?
I think I would be a happier person in general.
And who would you love?
Myself.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd love yourself again. Bringing the magic back in. Let's give her a hand. Honestly, let's imprint that with a big applause, right? Because behind that, now, bringing that magic back into herself is the next step, right? She gets to love herself first. Then what does she get to do?
And love bigger for my children.
And love bigger for her children. And who's your children?
They're me.
And who else are your children that you get to touch?
They're everybody else.
Yeah. Okay? So now what we have done right here with Jessica is we've aligned her with an opening to her soul purpose. Okay? All right. How do you feel, Jessica?
Big.
She feels big. Yeah. So
Don't forget that we want to slow down. You don't want to get big too fast.
oh, there's a belief. If you could look inside and see your heart, is your heart big or little?
Big.
It's big. Yeah, and that big heart is capable of doing whatever it came to do in the timely manner that it's supposed to do it, right? So don't be afraid of that. You're already big. You're already big in love, right? In the parts that matter. So then what happens? So she loves herself, right? She loves herself. She gets to love herself first. And then she gets to create a product out of that. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's a game. Maybe it's a series of lots of things. Maybe it's electronic. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's hardback. Maybe it's a whole bunch of things all combined and right. My brain gets ticking. I can really make it roll, right? And then guess what she gets to do? She gets to love her product, right? She's the creator. She gets to love it. And then what does she get to do? She gets to love the people that she gets to serve. She gets to love the people that she gets to touch their life. Right? That's living, folks. That's living in its purest form, in my opinion. It's being able to be yourself, knowing what it is that you love, being able to create a life from that, and being able to love others through that. And that's exactly what my husband and I have done with Novici. And I'm going to plug it for just a second before I keep, because this is really all about you. It's not about me. But I want you to know that because I have done that, because I have lived that, because it has come to fruition, I'm not just standing up here with a theory. It's happened. Okay? I know it can happen for you because it's happened for me. All right? So what I want you to do is I want you to go through a little process now. And now that I hope everybody has an idea of what they desire. And I hope that it's kind of in your heart's desire. It's not just in your head desire. Oh yeah, that would be fun to leave this meeting right now and go have a Big Mac. No, don't do that. I want you to just think about a heart's desire, something that's really clear about what you want in your heart. And I want you to say on a scale of 1 to 10, because now you get to process, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad do you want it? So you write down a number. All the Jessicas here get to write down a number on a scale of 1 to 10. Now I can say that figuratively, or I can say that Literally, because I know of 3 Jessicas in this room. All right. So how bad do you want it? Okay. Now I'm going to ask you, what would it feel like if you had it? What would it feel like if you had it? I want you to just feel that. Bring in that feeling. Because just like we can create those feelings, just like we learned in the last presentation. What do you believe you would have to do to get it? What would you have to do in order to get this thing? What comes to mind? I would have to do something, or I might have to give something up, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how willing are you to do that? How willing are you to do what you'd have to do to get it? Okay. Is there something else you could do rather than that? That thing that you really resist doing in order to have to get it? Staying with me, right? If you had this desire of your heart, what, health, relationship, money or thing, job, whatever, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would be your fear of losing it? Once you had it, what would be your fear of losing it? Can you see yourself keeping it? Ask yourself, can I have this thing, this desire of my heart, and keep it? And what's the answer? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, raise your hand.
Would you repeat that?
Can I have this desire of my heart and keep it? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, raise your hand. Right, that's awesome. If the answer is no, raise your hand. Okay, there's a couple no's, right? Okay. So, more than a couple. Some of you who said no don't want to raise your hand. I know that. All right. So, there's something that I have been working on within myself recently. All right? And so, this is the very first time that I've talked about it publicly. And it's, believe me, it's not really big. It's not bad. It's okay. But the thing is that I have been trying to figure out what creates victimhood. How many of you have ever felt like a victim? Raise your hand. Okay. Oh, really? Yeah. Who has never felt like a victim? Not one hand. All right. Here's what I want you to think about. This is a really good part of my presentation for everybody in this room then. So several years ago, and I should have learned this a long time ago, and I guess I just haven't been able to put it all together yet until just recently. Several years ago, my 13-year-old daughter had walked a ways from my brother's house, and she was with her cousin, and they ended up at a Flying J. They were in Snowville, Utah. And they were at this Flying J, and they decided that they were going to walk back home. Well, they called my sister-in-law and asked her to come and get them. And my sister-in-law was busy and said she couldn't come and get them for an hour or two or whatever. And so they decided to walk home, right? So my daughter's 13 years old and her cousin is 15 years old, and they start walking home. And it's a 4-mile walk home. It's back to Stone, Idaho. It's a long walk home. And it has some parts that are graveled road, and it's really remote, right? And they start walking home, and they get picked up by a couple of migrant workers, and they are sexually assaulted and left for dead in a gravel pit. Right? essentially kidnapped. And of course, I'm just at my wit's end because they didn't make it home. They're nowhere to be found. We don't know if they were picked up by a truck driver and in which state they are by now. And it was a really, really, really hard event, right? And I'm sick inside, well, they finally got back to my brother's house about 3 o'clock in the morning. And they had left at 9 o'clock in the morning, so it was a long day. Thankfully, though, they were okay, right? But I'm trying to figure this out, and of course we go through a whole bunch of stuff. So fast forward a couple, 3-4 months, and I'm now working with my daughter. And of course, my history goes back to I started doing healing work when I was 21 years old, so nearly 4 decades ago. All right? So I'm like, and this daughter, by the way, is now 37 years old. So it's a long time ago, right? But I'm talking with her, and she is like having a struggle. She's just having such a struggle. And the rage that's in her is enormous. And she's just having, and we're all scared because, what happened? How did this happen? Why did it happen? Why us? Right? All the stuff that victims ask, right? How could this possibly happen? And how can we prevent it from happening again? Isn't that the really big question? We lived, we survived, but how do we prevent it from happening again? And it's about 4 months later, and I'm talking to her. We had daily sessions because I had, by now, I had already learned NLP. I was a clinical hypnotherapist. I had already learned all kinds of healing modalities. And so every day was therapy, right? I'm talking to her, and I said to her, "Hun," I said, "did you have any warnings? Did you know?" And she said, "Yes, Mom. I knew that I shouldn't walk home." Her knower knew. So I want you to think back about those, maybe one event in your life where a tragedy hit, where you were victimized. And I want you to think you had to be a little bit older than 4. Because our 4-year-olds, remember, their knowers don't know yet, just the 5-year-olds know. But, okay, but I want you to think about a time when some tragedy hit, and did your knower know? Did you have a warning? If you did have a warning before that happened, if you did feel that what you were about to engage in was off, if it did feel not right, did it feel out of alignment? If you had that feeling, I want you to raise your hand. All right. Wow. The majority of you raised your hand. Your knower knew. If your knower didn't know, then guess what? There was something in there for you that was bigger than you must have meant to have that at some level. Something. Several years later, I had another daughter whose life was taken. Right? I had no warning. I had no clue. My knower had no idea. Now I can tell you that because of her death, many, 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 many things have come. Many things have come that wouldn't have happened had it not happened. My knower must have known then too that it was part of my path and part of my life and part of the things that I came here to do. And so with that, I want you to be engaged in your knower. Okay? I want you to be engaged with your knower. incredibly engaged, and I want you to be able to forgive those things you didn't know, or forgive those things that you did know that you went against, because now you're going to know. From this day forward, you're going to be in touch with your knower. You're going to be more in tune and less victimhood. How would that feel? Everybody would like that, right? Raise your hand. So what if you can create from your knower? What if you can attract from your knower rather than your thinker? Even from your feeler, right? We got a thinker, we got a feeler, and we got a knower. I'd rather create from my knower, right? It'll save a lot of time in victimhood. Got it?
What did you say before that? Forgive the things that you didn't know, and then forgive the things that you
Knew that you went against.
that you went against. Okay.
Okay? All right. So now we got that out of the way, right? I had to deliver that. And I know that Christiana's making a YouTube video, so I had to have that. Thank you, Christiana. All right, so those of you who said that I can't have whatever it was that was a desire of my heart, I want you to go back now. Now that your knower you're in tune with your knower a little bit better, I want you to ask again, can I have this thing? Can I have this desire of my heart? And what does your knower say? And tell me who's getting a yes. Raise your hand if you're getting a yes. Can I have it? If it's good for me, my knower will know. If it's not, back to the drawing table. Right? Maybe I'm going to create something better than that. Maybe that wasn't good enough. Maybe that wasn't really truly in alignment. So, know what you want. Step one. And when I say no, make sure your knower is engaged and know what you want. Now, if your knower knows and you still don't believe that you can have it, that means that you have a negative core belief, right? Okay? That means I don't deserve it. I haven't paid my dues. I haven't whatever. And that is the elephant in the room. Remember, I posted something on Facebook about if you're not having the law of attraction work for you, the law of repelling is working for you, right? It's either or, right? Can't have it both ways. And if the law of repelling, if you're not getting what you want, it's because you're repelling it. And why are you repelling it? You're either one, not in alignment with it, and you really don't know that you want it. You just think, your thinker's engaged instead of your knower. Or number two, you believe you can't have it. For some reason, you believe you can't have it. So the next little part on your notes, if I can't have it, what does that mean about me? I want you to answer that question. If I can't have it, what does that mean about me?